delivered me my prescription, but can I take it with my other medicine? And what about Dole?
Sure, you can buy your prescription through the mail, but it makes more sense to shop with your independent pharmacist, someone you know and trust who will answer all of your questions. Your local pharmacist is an important part of your healthcare team and more reliable than your mailbox.
And will I get drowsy?
Look for the independent pharmacy that displays this sign, not this one.
Save on Robitussin, DM, PE, or CF. 4-ounce size, just $2.69 each.
This is KCCI, TV8 in Des Moines.
Charges campaign foul play in the re-indictment of Caspar Weinberger. Hecklers disrupt a Berlin rally that was called to oppose racist violence. And New York State's top judge is under arrest, accused of extortion. This is the CBS Evening News. Good evening, I'm Connie Chung. President-elect Bill Clinton plans to hold a summit of economists, business leaders, and others to discuss the economy. And according to his aides, he will establish a special economic security council at the White House. But Mr. Clinton's day of transition planning was clouded by a Republican charge about the campaign just passed. Richard Threlkeld is in Little Rock.
Hey, Governor.
Good morning, Governor.
For a dozen years, Governor Bill Clinton jogged the streets of Little Rock alone and unescorted. Now that he's president-elect, it's a happening, and he's beginning to chafe at the gaggle of media that follows him everywhere, even to McDonald's.
Oh, he's up. You're working outside, Governor? Yeah, I mean, I don't want 1,000 people in there. I just gotta go get a cup of coffee.
Can we hold the press out?
Back in Washington, meantime, the Republicans charged the Democrats with foul play in the days before the election. Senator Bob Dole claimed there may have been collusion between the Clinton-Gore campaign and Special Prosecutor Lawrence Walsh, who on October 30th brought an indictment against former Defense Secretary Caspar Weinberger in the Iran-Contra affair. It included a memo mentioning then Vice President Bush.
And it seems to me it was outrageous that they would have this indictment of Weinberger with a note sort of bringing George Bush into the loop the Friday before the election. I think there ought to be an investigation.
Dole offered as evidence this Clinton campaign news release dated October 29th, the day before the indictment was handed down. Clinton himself did not comment on the charge as he attended church this morning, but campaign officials insisted there'd been no contact with the special prosecutor and that the date on the press release was a typographical error. Walsh also denied communicating with the Clinton campaign. Dole also claimed that James Brosnahan, a new member of Walsh's team, had previously contributed to the Democratic campaign, something that's perfectly legal.
And Mr. Brosnahan, who's now prosecuting the Weinberger case, gave $500 to Bill Clinton. His law firm gave $20,000.
Clinton's transition team, meantime, is eager to get on with forming up the new administration. Transition Director Warren Christopher said today Clinton's cabinet appointments will likely be announced in December.
As far as the order in which they'll come, that'll be up to Governor Clinton, but I think it's probably safe to say that with the emphasis he's given to the economic sector, the economic cluster will take a high priority.
It's unlikely the Clinton administration is going to press matters like Iran-Contra or Iraqgate, for that matter. They're planning on offering the American people a full menu of change. Those other things they regard as leftovers. Connie?
All right, thank you, Richard Threlkeld. President Bush still has to deal with a full plate of matters before Inauguration Day. Randall Pinkston has that story.
President Bush may be a lame duck, but events at home and abroad won't allow him to stand still in his final 2 months in the White House. Topping his priority list, a growing confrontation with the European community over its trade subsidies to farmers. Trade ministers have been meeting throughout the weekend in London to find a response to a U.S. threat to impose a $300 million tariff on French white wine. Acting Secretary of State Lawrence Eagleburger hopes the showdown will force Europe to reduce agricultural subsidies.
The EC needs to get its act together, and if they get their act together, it would seem to me we ought to be able to get it settled.
Also high on the president's to-do list, the stalled Mideast peace talks. The parties return to Washington tomorrow. The president must keep his eye on the continuing bloodshed in the former Yugoslavia, as well as the uncertainty over Saddam Hussein's military ambitions. And on the domestic front, the president is being urged to consider pardons for Iran-Contra defendants, while some allies are encouraging Mr. Bush to dismiss charges against former Defense Secretary Weinberger. Others urge caution.
I think back of my dear friend Jerry Ford and what a hit he took when he pardoned former President Nixon, and I wouldn't like to have that same kind of criticism come to the current president.
Then there's the onerous task of the budget. Mr. Bush must prepare one for the next fiscal year, knowing all the time it is sure to be tossed out when Bill Clinton takes over. Randall Pinkston, CBS News, the White House.
Timothy Ryan, the man in charge of cleaning up the nation's troubled savings and loan industry, will announce his resignation tomorrow. President-elect Clinton will have the job of appointing a new director of the Office of Thrift Supervision. Still ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News, leftist violence disrupts a rally for tolerance in Berlin. And a man named Geist pays a visit to a place called Hope.
Take some vegetables and Presto salad shooter.
Shoot some slices salad shooter.
Point and shoot right into stir fry or casserole.
Shoot some shreds salad shooter.
For hash browns or coleslaw.
Shoot it fast, shoot it neat, shoot it pretty. Pretty salad shooter.
Presto salad shooter slicer shredder. Clean up easy, dishwasher safe. Small enough to store anywhere. Great salads and much, much more.
Salad shooter.
The original salad shooter and professional salad shooter from Presto.
There's one battery that backs you with free jumpstart service anywhere, for any reason. Die Hard.
Can't believe I left my lights on.
Sears Die Hard. The battery you can count on to give you more power when you need it most.
There's a smart way to doctor a cough. Robitussin cough drops.
Try this, it works.
With an active ingredient that speeds soothing relief to your cough.
Try this. It works.
Robitussin cough drops. Cough drops from the cough experts.
You've been dieting with a very special day in mind, which could mean you're not getting your daily amount of protein, because many foods that provide protein are also high in fat. But not this one. Kellogg's Special K, the only cereal that's fat-free and a good source of protein. So make Special K part of your future plans and get into that dress you've been dying to wear. Kellogg's Special K. Get the protein, lose the fat.
A massive rally charged with symbolism was held today to condemn Germany's recent surge of violence against foreigners. All was peaceful until radical leftists intervened. Martha Teichner has more on the violence in Berlin.
The demonstration was supposed to be a mass condemnation of racism, a government-sponsored rally against neo-Nazi attacks on foreigners in Germany. Few foreigners dared to show up, but it started out calmly enough. Huge waves of marchers from East and West Berlin converged on the square where Nazi propaganda minister Joseph Goebbels began whipping up anti-Jewish feeling in 1933. The symbolism was deliberate. German Chancellor Helmut Kohl walked from the Brandenburg Gate, identified with the fall of the Berlin Wall 3 years ago tomorrow. Tomorrow is also the anniversary of Kristallnacht, the night of the shattering glass in 1938, a milestone in Nazi persecution of Jews. But the symbolism, the whole point of the demonstration, got lost in the violence that overtook it. Hecklers attacked Kohl, shouting "hypocrite" because of his support for the rally. At the same time, he is backing a plan to limit the numbers of foreign asylum seekers. This year alone, 500,000 have arrived. There have been 1,800 attacks on foreigners. 11 have been killed. German President Richard von Weizsäcker tried to speak, but had to hide behind a line of riot police, protecting him from a barrage of eggs. The disturbance that followed, involving a few hundred hecklers, obscured the fact that more than 300,000 people turned out against racism. The government pronounced today's demonstration a success, but it is unlikely to stop neo-Nazi violence. Martha Teichner, CBS News, London.
Russia today confirmed its first ever arms sale to a NATO member, a $75 million deal with Turkey. Russia is selling the Turks helicopters, personnel carriers, and other weapons. Arms control with the Soviet Union is a key foreign policy issue, calling out for Bill Clinton's immediate attention as president. Jonathan Sanders reports the ballyhooed agreement, reached only 4 months ago, is in trouble.
It all seemed so easy.
At their last summit, Boris Yeltsin and George Bush agreed to eliminate thousands of nuclear warheads and the SS-18 missiles that launched them. But the missiles remain, still pointed at the United States, and the deal is in trouble, as the Democrats were keen to point out in the election campaign.
In fact, there are serious problems. Isn't it a fact, Dan, that every single one of those SS-18s is still there in the silos?
Russia's domestic politics have changed things. Yeltsin's foreign policy is being held hostage in the fight over his economic reforms.
It's clear that the foreign policy issues, and especially the arms control issues, will be used by the conservative opposition to undermine the positions of the president and his team.
Yeltsin's enemies say he's soft on America, that he gave up too much too easily. Some in the Russian military want to keep the nuclear arsenal as a prestigious, affordable defense. The arms control discussions are stalled.
Now we have entered a period of disillusionment about Russian-American relations.
Yeltsin congratulated Clinton by phone last week and reported the Russian parliament had finally ratified an arms deal signed by Gorbachev. He invited Clinton to Moscow. The two have met only once last summer. But Yeltsin made no mention of the missile deal with President Bush that seems to be unraveling. And no one here expects to see President Clinton in Moscow for an arms control summit anytime soon. Jonathan Sanders, CBS News, Moscow.
Sarah, and she's lucky, because today she'll encounter egrets doing dances and alligators in the wild. She'll see how other moms take care of their kids, and she'll be doing this, recycling, through a program of the National Park Service and its recycling partner, Dow.
We can make a difference in what tomorrow brings.
Together with the National Park Service and folks like Sarah.
Dow lets you do great things. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. Stretch.
For the minor aches and pains of your daily workout.
3, 2.
Introducing Therapeutic Mineral Ice Plus. A lotion that goes on cool to relieve your pain.
And lift.
Mineral Ice Plus also contains a moisturizer, so it soothes your skin as it cools your pain. Therapeutic Mineral Ice Plus. Tell your pain to cool it.
Why fight the weather? Get to Sears for this Craftsman half-horsepower garage door opener, only $159.99. And that includes 3 transmitters. So hurry to Sears today, before you're left out in the cold.
1 a.m., still awake. You've got the night flu. TheraFlu introduces new Maximum Strength Nighttime, the strongest hot liquid formula ever made. New Maximum Strength Nighttime from TheraFlu. Maximum flu relief so you can sleep.
No hard times here. Wages are good and profits are high. Osaka? Dusseldorf? No. Euclid, Ohio. How come? Watch 60 Minutes tonight.
Just yesterday, Judge Saul Wachtler, New York's Chief Justice, was being touted as a candidate for governor of the state or a potential U.S. Supreme Court nominee. Today, his reputation is tainted by scandal. John Roberts is following the story.
Since his appointment as Chief Justice in 1985, Saul Wachtler has been among the country's most respected jurists. The charges against him have shocked both fellow judges and those who argued before him.
This is a man who could be governor of the state of New York, who could be on the United States Supreme Court.
FBI documents accuse Wachtler of harassing his former lover, Republican fundraiser Joy Silverman, and threatening to kidnap her 14-year-old daughter unless he was paid $20,000. An investigation into the threats was launched more than a month ago when Joy Silverman contacted her personal friend, FBI Director William Sessions. She claimed that Wachtler, married with 4 children, had been harassing her since she broke off their love affair last year. Through an unlisted number placed by Silverman in a local classified, the FBI taped conversations and traced calls allegedly made by Wachtler. In one, the caller threatened, "You're going to be in serious trouble, and you're not going to see your daughter again. You hear me? I'm a sick and desperate man. I need the money, and you'll be hearing from me." When he failed to pick up the $20,000 payment yesterday, a team of 80 agents shadowed Wachtler, arresting him on the Long Island Expressway as he drove home.
The crime charged in this case is obviously a very serious crime. Anytime threats are directed to injure someone's reputation or to harm a child, we have to take the matter very seriously.
Why the FBI approached the case so dramatically is being questioned.
The treatment of this, at least at first blush, seems to have been John Gotti-like in its scope and nature.
As much at question to friends of Wachtler is how the charges came about at all.
I've known him as a colleague, as a friend, and it's just out of character for me to believe that he could be charged with the crime that you tell me he is.
Judge Saul Wachtler remains under guard in the psychiatric ward of a Long Island hospital tonight. As to his position on the bench, there are 4 options. He can remain or voluntarily step down during the proceedings. The other members of the Court of Appeals could vote to suspend him, or the State Commission on Judicial Conduct could recommend his removal. Connie?
Thank you, John Roberts. Police in New Jersey said today they've arrested a suspect in the kidnapping and death of Gail Scholler. Authorities allege Scott Johnson broke into Mrs. Scholler's van while it was stopped at a light Tuesday night and then stabbed her later that same evening. 6 people were killed today when a gunman went on a shooting rampage in 2 Central California towns before shooting himself. Police say the suspect, 43-year-old Linwood Drake, shot 3 men in the seaside community of Morro Bay, then fled to nearby Paso Robles, where he shot 3 more victims. Students and administrators at the University of Massachusetts agreed this weekend on a plan to help ease racial tensions on the Amherst campus. The strains at UMass have been among the worst examples of racism that have been plaguing campuses nationwide. Jacqueline Adams has our report.
We're talking about making changes. We're talking about building coalitions. Racism, oppression must be addressed by building coalitions.
For many of the students and staff at the University of Massachusetts in Amherst, the dream of racial harmony lives on. Yet on this campus, racial tensions are running high.
The trouble this year started here when a black dormitory supervisor was assaulted by a white visitor who refused to throw away a can of beer. Incensed by what they thought was the university's delay in taking action, several black students then stormed the dormitory.
On campuses nationwide, experts say, such clashes have reached near epidemic proportions.
We estimate that 1 out of every 4 minority students experiences some form of physical or psychological harassment during the course of an academic year.
At UMass, many students are fed up.
Am I angry? Oh, you better believe I'm angry. If you're not a person of color, you don't know how it is.
Unless we take an active role in confronting these problems, then I think white people certainly are part of the problem.
The students' concerns are echoed in a study by the U.S. Civil Rights Commission, scheduled to be released tomorrow.
It's fairly helpful in pointing out the kinds of things that we ought to do, but I can't say it's anything very novel.
Indeed, the study urges the university to do more of what it's already doing. More minority recruitment and financial aid, more sensitivity training for police, more courses about different cultures.
If your millet crop in Africa, if it's just growing, you're not harvesting it right now, well, you can sell off your slaves.
None of the recommendations, however, gets at what students and administrators say is the root cause of today's racial tensions, the Reagan and Bush presidencies.
We're seeing the result of a decade or so of neglect. And I think that that's created, on the national scale, a kind of hostility against minority groups in many areas.
When the economy starts to fail, people need a scapegoat. And sometimes people of color are it.
Students and administrators agree on very little. Yet both concede it's nearly impossible for one university to eliminate racism when an entire society cannot. Jacqueline Adams, CBS News, Amherst, Massachusetts.
Veterans Day isn't until Wednesday, but there was an annual observance today in Memphis, Tennessee. Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts raised flags at a local cemetery to honor American war veterans. In Washington today, they began reading the names engraved on the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. More than 58,000 names will be read as part of the events leading up to the 10th anniversary of the memorial on Wednesday.
Arthur Eugene Skip Bedell,
John Howard McLean.
You are about to change the way you take cold medicine forever. Now, for the first time, you can take your favorite juice with all its great taste and stir in new Dristan juice mix-in. Dristan will ease your cough and nasal congestion and soothe your pain, all without drowsiness. New Dristan juice mix-in, the newest way to take care of your cold, only from the makers of Dristan.
Presto has a great idea.
Shoot some slices, shoot some shreds, shoot some salad, salad shooter.
Presto has a great big idea. Professional salad shooter slicer shredder. Big capacity, holds a lot, shoots a lot. Powerful, fast, a variety of cutting blades. So you can point and slice thick, slice thin, shred right into the bowl, even ripple cut. Chop, grate right where you want. Clean up easy, dishwasher safe, store anywhere.
Salad shooter.
Original salad shooter and professional salad shooter from Presto.
There's one battery that backs you with free jumpstart service anywhere, for any reason. Die Hard.
Can't believe I left my lights on.
Sears Die Hard. The battery you can count on to give you more power when you need it most.
Day after day, you make those glasses of thick Metamucil disappear. Why not make them all disappear with FiberCon? Doctor-recommended FiberCon gives you the same fiber regularity in tablets.
Easy to swallow tablets.
Get doctor-recommended FiberCon.
President-elect Clinton's promise to put America back to work hit home in many traditionally Republican states. States like Connecticut, where people have been hit hard by the recession. That's our Sunday cover tonight, looking for a lift in the Constitution state.
After 12 years of Reagan-Bush economics, I was laid off, and I really felt in my heart that we needed a change.
Bruce Carver, a lifelong Republican, cast a skeptical vote for Bill Clinton. After 35 years in the Navy and defense industry, Carver lost his job at General Dynamics in Groton and is training to become a family counselor. CEO James Irwin never supported a Democrat either until last Tuesday, and he expects the new Democratic ticket to deliver on its promises.
We are still overdrawn on our bank account. Nothing much has changed. And we hope that Bill Clinton and Al Gore are going to remember their commitment is to correct that situation first.
Watch! For years, the Connecticut economy prospered based on the defense industry, manufacturing, and insurance. Voters here had not chosen a Democratic president since 1968. But after losing 200,000 jobs in 3 years, they were ready for a change.
I think one of the most important things I'd like to see done is the creation of new jobs, new technology, to basically put America back to work.
Must be time for layoffs again.
Other voters facing more layoffs doubt Clinton's election will make much difference.
There won't be many of us left here anymore. I mean, it's not going to help us as far as jobs go.
But Clinton's backers say he's committed to solving the underlying problems of the economy.
Governor Clinton understands that a lot of the jobs that have been lost in this recession are not coming back.
Many who lost defense jobs in Connecticut turned to tourism and gambling to try their luck. They're placing their bets on Clinton's plan to diversify industry.
I'd like to see them, help them diversify and train the people instead of just deserting them.
For now, Clinton seems to be enjoying a honeymoon. But will he be able to deliver on his campaign promises quickly enough to satisfy voters in Connecticut and other struggling states?
I don't think they expect miracles overnight. What they want to see is someone working on the problem, someone who has a plan, someone who can work with Congress to get it passed, and that is indeed what I think we're going to see in the first 100 days of a Clinton administration.
And as some would advise Clinton, it's his own future that's at stake.
Everything that you do in light of, is it going to improve this economy 4 years from now? The campaign for 1996 begins today.
One indication of Mr. Clinton's seriousness about the economy is speculation that he may name a Treasury Secretary first rather than a Secretary of State, traditionally the first post to be filled.
There's
There's a reason more people go to Sears for a new battery.
Can't believe I left my lights on.
Only Sears has the Die Hard. Sears is so confident of Die Hard starting power. If your Die Hard needs a jump, Sears will do it absolutely free. Anytime, anywhere, even if you leave your lights on.
I got stranded once. Never again.
You can count on me.
Sears Die Hard. More power when you need it most.
Look at me eating peanut brittle. Even with my dentures, thanks to Super Polygrip.
Super Polygrip holds so tight, many denture wearers can enjoy more of their favorite foods.
Even peanut brittle.
Super Polygrip.
Everybody needs some
$12 for every mile over the limit.
That's $300.
You can add fast, too. Next.
To send someone money fast, call 1-800-CALL-CASH or come to any Western Union location. Western Union, the fastest way to send money.
Oh, great. Just what my stomach needs. Here comes my obnoxious boss.
Hi, Daddy.
Oh, boy.
Better make it Malox. Because for moments like this, nothing Mylanta makes neutralizes as much stomach acid as Extra Strength Malox Plus. So why take anything else?
We were just talking about you.
Oh, nice, I hope.
My mother's here, too.
Great. Nobody knows your stomach better, so you better make it Malox.
During the campaign, President-elect Clinton talked a lot about his roots, the tiny town in Arkansas where he was born and raised. Our Bill Geist has traveled to the place where it all began.
Hope, Arkansas has produced a president, and now in the grand American presidential tradition is producing T-shirts, mugs, all sorts of stuff, just like Kennebunkport and Plains, Georgia before it. Citizens needn't worry about the orderly transformation of souvenirs from one administration to the other. The torch has been passed from Maine to Arkansas. To Susan Evans' flower shop.
What do you think this is going to be big business for people in Hope or no?
We hope. We hope.
To Huey Kidd's gas station.
Got Bill Clinton on it right there.
Is there any way you're going to be able to make any more money now being how?
I'm already making more money. Selling T-shirts and all these people coming in, tourists coming in.
So we know who you voted for.
I voted for Bill Clinton.
Paul Henley is director of tourism for this small town in southwest Arkansas. And frankly, things were a little slow until recently. Hope was only known for
watermelons, and we're still known for watermelons, but I think Bill Clinton's going to be even bigger than better than watermelons.
Clinton maps have been hastily printed.
I don't think he was born right here.
And Clinton tours organized.
This was his first house in Hope, Arkansas.
Sort of the Abe Lincoln log cabin.
That's right.
There's not a whole lot on the tour. Clinton only lived here until he was 7.
No, not much to see.
That's a quick tour, drive-by tour usually on this.
But you can see his boyhood home, the outside anyway, and meet a real Clinton cousin, Margaret Polk.
Are you becoming a media celebrity on your own?
I think so. They tell me that.
So you're on the tour? I mean, when people give a tour of, the
Well,
Clinton...
those buses came here. We had 2 bus loads.
Maybe I should get your autograph.
Oh, bless your heart.
Real cousin.
Real.
Of Bill Clinton. Real. The actual birthplace of Bill Clinton is a little disappointing. It was right here until about a year ago when they tore it down. But a year ago, who knew?
And that's our news. Dan Rather will be here tomorrow night and join Bill Plant later tonight on the CBS Sunday Night News. I'm Connie Chung in New York. I'll see you again next Sunday night. Thank you for joining us and for all of us at CBS News. Good night.
Experience CBS News.
Those great American malls, lots of stores and lots of crime. Surprised? The story the malls never wanted you to see. Eye on America tomorrow on the CBS Evening News. This is CBS.
This is the Heartland. 3 bedrooms, 1.5 baths, loaded with natural woodwork. spacious lot. Since 1926, we've helped families buy their first home, their second home, their only home. Metropolitan Federal, the Heartland's bank for home loans.
What's clear? Introducing new Crystal Clear Amoco Ultimate. What isn't? All other premium gasolines. What's clear? New improved Amoco Ultimate is the only premium refined an extra step to remove harmful impurities other premiums leave in. Impurities that can rob your engine of performance and pollute the air. What's clear? If you use premium, now you have a reason to switch. Crystal Clear. New Crystal Clear Amoco Ultimate.
This is KCCI, TV8 in Des Moines.
I mean, you're putting all these hours, but the money gets so incredible.
How incredible does the money get? Well, Lincoln simply claims to have the highest paid factory workers in the world.
We guarantee them employment, and we haven't had a layoff in many, many, many years.
There's got to be a catch.
There isn't.
There's not a catch?
There's no catch at all.
4 years ago, when she was almost 2 months old, Caitlin got meningitis. The illness destroyed the hearing in both her ears and severely affected her balance. She now hears and speaks well enough to hold conversations with strangers.
How does it work?
Well, the sound goes inside a tiny microphone around here, and it goes down into the computer, which is in this box, and then it goes back up again in here, and then it goes into my brain.
What happens if you take it off?
Well, then I just hear nothing.
You had a reputation as a real horse's behind in this town. A very difficult guy for years. Why? Where did that all come from, Kirk?
It shows you what a good actor I am, because I really am the sweetest.
Come on. Everybody says that in the old days you were an exceedingly... Even your own kids said that you were very difficult.
They didn't say I was a horse's ass, did they?
No, they did not.
I think most of the things that I did wrong was not what I said, was how I said it.
I'm Mike Wallace.
I'm Willie Safer.
I'm Ed Bradley.
I'm Steve Croft.
I'm Leslie Stahl. Those stories and Andy Rooney tonight on 60 Minutes.
This portion of 60 Minutes is sponsored by Nestle. Nestle makes the very best.
In 1867, a man named Henri Nestle began to build a food company. His name, Nestle, meant little nest. It stood for warmth, protection, family, and shelter. Today, it stands for the very best products in 162 countries around the world.
This can't go on. Let me see that. There's got to be a better way. It's time to rethink everything.
Where do we start?
Make it clear. Make it colorful. Make it both. The DeskJet 550C. With DeskJet printers from Hewlett-Packard, it's easy to make it happen.
What do you smell?
I can't smell anything. My nose is clogged, yeah.
For fast relief, try Dristan 12-hour nasal spray. Now smell.
It's an orange. Dristan nasal spray just works incredibly fast.
Dristan, the face of relief today.
If the accepted wisdom once was, what's good for General Motors is good for the country, nobody has said that in a long, long time, and especially this week. But before you get through watching this next story, it may strike you that what's good for Lincoln Electric is good for the country. Lincoln Electric, a company in America's Rust Belt? Yep, Lincoln Electric, a company in America's Rust Belt. This is the Lincoln Electric Company of Cleveland, Ohio, a Fortune 500 company with over $800 million in sales. The world's leading manufacturer of welding machines.
You ever stop to eat lunch? No. You work hard here. Yeah, you definitely put a full 8-hour day in. But